10 things that could be killing your gains. Now these are in no order of importance. I think these are all important, but these are just my opinion, you know, in terms of what I think you should optimise to make the gains you want to make. This could be to do with anything, you know, not just bodybuilding, fitness in any sense where you're trying to improve your physical well-being or body. I think these factors will help. Of sleep. Now, you hear this all the time, but this is important. When I was at college, I was guilty, really guilty of this. I used to get like 3 hours sleep. Now, I've always been someone who struggles to sleep. I naturally wake up, and also I struggle to get to sleep a lot of the time. So what I do now is I always make sure I nap. And you get a lot of hate for that because people are like, why do you nap every day? You know, it's lazy sleeping in the day, but you're just making up for the sleep you've lost. So what I would say is it's important to try and get enough sleep. I mean, the optimal amount would be great, you know, getting your 8 hours or whatever, but try to make it up if you don't sleep, because it does do a lot for your gains. I feel so much more rested considering I'm having naps and trying to actually make up for those lost hours. But if you're not sleeping enough, then that is the first thing I would say you need to try and optimise. Calories or not enough calories. Obviously, if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating too much, then that is going to ruin your progress from day one. And vice versa if you're trying to gain weight but you're not eating enough. Because you have to have the optimal, situational things in place in order to be able to grow or lose weight. And the number one is you need to be in a caloric surplus if you want to gain weight. You need to be eating enough calories to gain mass, and this is one thing that people just do not do, because as I've said in other videos, people think they know how to eat but they don't. It's a skill that you learn. It does take a while. It's a skill that you learn when you're involved in fitness, because you constantly have to sort of eat differently to other people. You know, you're trying to eat more meals, more calories or less calories. So it's a skill you learn. You have to be eating, the amount you need to in order to get the results you want. Now this is, the phrase itself, I stole this because I really like this, but I was going to say this myself, but just in a different way. Moving weight but not lifting weight. This is the biggest thing you see in the gym. Like, people are just like deadlift that weight and it's like a full back arch, like a banana, and it's like pull it off the floor, and it's just like constantly people are chasing weight. They want to be the strongest just for bragging rights. So that does nothing for your mass. Fair enough if you're a power lifter, then chase those numbers, but listen, that does nothing for you, and you need to actually lift the weight. For me, the mind-muscle connection was a big thing that I actually sort of learned along the way. So for me, for back, I used to just do heavy compounds all the time, and go back and look at one of my older videos on how I improved my back drastically. For me, the mind-muscle connection and actually feeling each exercise is what caused me to actually improve my physique. So I've always been able to gain the mass, but in terms of actually adding detail to my physique, I think actually lifting weight, not moving weight. If you actually want to gain muscle, then stop lifting in a way that isn't conducive to gaining muscle. Well, I'm guilty of, because I've got a notepad here where I've wrote down some of these points to remember them. This was one of my notepads that I bought to track my workouts effectively, and I have about 500 of these, because I always start tracking, then I forget, and I start tracking, then I forget. So this is one that I'm trying to learn as well, but you should track your progress. At the beginning, it doesn't really matter. If you're 140 pounds and you've just started, then you'll notice that you're gaining, because you'll be gaining weight constantly, and it'll be visible, not just on the scales, it'll be visible, and you'll probably be gaining strength weekly because you're a beginner. But the further you get into training, the more important it becomes to keep a log of what you're doing, because it's so easy to look back and think, for 3 years I didn't gain. So keep a log of your progress. Go into the gym and you see people go through the same routine every week, and 90% of the time it's the same weight every week, and you think, well, if you're not pushing harder every workout, then how do you ever expect to gain? You'll stay on the same level you are now. So this is one thing that kills people's gains, is they train the same every week. They train with the same intensity every week. That's the bigger point. They train with the same intensity. They never sort of make an effort to make the workout harder than it was before. So make sure you're training hard enough, and make sure your training is slightly varied. 6 and 7, these are related, but I'll do them as separate points because they're both important. Too much cardio. We're talking about gaining mass. That was the point of the video, things that kill your gains. Too much cardio can kill your gains. I don't care what people say. Cardio is important. I do cardio, I walk every day. Normally I do 10,000 steps a day, especially at the moment, and I do a manual job, so I burn calories there. So for me, I do enough to what I think I need to do, but I wouldn't do any more than that. That's what I'm saying, too much cardio. So these people who get obsessed with fitness and they think, I want to get bigger, but I have to stay lean, I have to stay lean, I have to stay lean. And all they do is, they just keep doing more and more and more in the expectation that it will reap more reward. But in reality, it won't. You need to do one thing at a time and focus on that. So if you're trying to bulk, then don't overdo the cardio. Too much cardio, so you're doing it for too long or doing it at the wrong time. So even though that is pretty similar to what I've just said, the timing of it is very important, because I know so many people who I talk to who want to pursue, the bodybuilding style of training, but you say to them, what have you been doing in your workouts? And they say, I start on bike for 3 hours or whatever, and then I'll do like 10 minutes of training. And it's like, do you really have enough energy to put in maximum intensity if you've just done that much cardio? And the answer is no. If you're going to do cardio, add in separate workouts or do it afterwards. That is my advice. This is important, like really important. Lack of accountability. This is one of the biggest things that will kill people's gains, because people, especially when they're not competing in things and actually taking it as seriously as they probably should anyway, this is an issue that a lot of people have, because they will constantly do the same things because it is a habit. So like people that go out and drink every day, they'll just be like, oh yeah, that ruined my session today. I drank too much, I was hungover, it ruined my session. It's like, it's okay though, bad things happen, live your life. And it's like, fair enough, on the one-off every now and then. But the lack of accountability is where it becomes difficult, because you will constantly be in that cycle of, oh, I missed a workout, or I missed another one, or I've just eaten too much, or I've eaten too little today, or they're all habits. So you need to be accountable for your actions. Think to yourself, I want this physique, this is what I actually want to achieve. It is you that wants to do it, no one gives a fuck what you look like. So make sure you're actually accountable for your actions and you realise what needs to be done in order to achieve what you want to do. Now this one never gets said in videos. In fact, I've looked at videos on this whole topic in general, and there's not actually many videos anyway, but this never gets said, which is, why do people overemphasize certain nutrients? So why are people instantly of that mindset of, I want to get big, protein, 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 protein. And you see it all the time. It's these fucking stupid shows, where people are like, I've got my protein shake. And it's just overemphasizing protein. That is one thing that will kill your gains, because what happens a lot of the time, you look at people's diets and it's like, what have you eaten? And they eat like a fucking T-Rex. It's like 600 grams of protein today. And it's like, what else have you had? 10 grams of fat, because fat makes me fat. And it's just like, do some research into what you actually need to be eating, because in reality, you don't need so much protein that you can't actually absorb it. You're not a T-Rex. So, overemphasizing certain nutrients, you do not need more protein than, is physically possible to actually digest. Now the last one is something that I could easily have swapped out for something else. I could have easily put in another point which I could have thought of, which would have probably been equally as important, but I think this deserves a mention, because this is something I spoke to a friend about the other day, and it was in terms of fat loss, and it made me think actually. And this is hormone levels. Obviously, if your hormone levels are ridiculously out of whack one way or the other, then it will affect your gains, fat loss, everything. And it made me think actually that me, personally, I've had a lot of checks from Medichecks. I've been checked by the doctors as well for other stuff. But in terms of testosterone, liver, cholesterol, everything like that, I've had so many Medichecks tests, I generally know where a lot of my levels in terms of testosterone and stuff sit. So if you take training seriously, then it could be something to look into, simply to know that you're not massively deficient in one thing or the other, because it will affect obviously all your gains. Hormones are very important in terms of gaining mass, losing fat. So I wanted to add that in because that one was on the top of my head. This is one that I spoke to with a friend recently, but hormone levels obviously can play a massive part. And obviously if you look at the list of symptoms for things like low T, then a lot of people will say to you, yeah, low T, low muscle mass, etc. So I think if you take training seriously and you're thinking there's really something wrong, then I would always recommend getting your own test, because it's cheap, and why would you not want to know where your levels sit? These are things that just need to be optimised in terms of gaining mass. Anyway, obviously like and subscribe. trying to put out more videos more frequently because I want to start a series, resistance band series, hopefully will be coming soon, because that is what I've been doing to train lately. I've kind of put the barbell to the side and I've been trying to do resistance bands because it's new for me, so that is probably what my next sort of few videos are going to be based on. Anyway, thanks for watching, cheers.